Oh! Ooh! Ah! Ah! Ooh! What the?
It's the Hey, You Made Your Movie Show, hosted by Carl Diamond.
Hey, buddy, you can't be in here.
You will be in my book of people whose houses I have broken into.
I have to do this intro, so I'm gonna get to you in a moment.
Pose.
Stop it with that flash. Hey, cinephiles and filmmakers, and welcome to the Hey, You Made Your Movie Show.
Short Film Focus.
Episodes like this are going to focus on short format films, so short films. Well, I hope you like comic books, late 90s Disney produced television cartoons, and Westworld, because I had the opportunity to speak with the one, the only Liz Lachman, who released a short film by the title of Pinup. It's about a photographer who obsesses over a model that she cannot have. Weird how fitting this is. Did Liz Lachman send you?
I am here of my own accord.
So, without further ado, here is the trailer for Liz Lachman's Pinup. Now, if you'll excuse me. Okay, asshole, let's see how you like pictures being taken of you.
What is it you want? I'm trying to capture something that I can't describe. I can feel it. It's just out of reach, you know, it's elusive. That's what I'm trying to pin down.
Liz Lachman, hey, you made your movie.
Yeah, it's true. Are we recording?
We are. I like to start it right away, so that way I don't feel like
Okay.
I don't freeze up when
Okay.
you hit recording.
All right. Well, the reason I asked is because there's I used to be a music editor.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to waste my good stories if we're not recording.
Of
You know what I
course,
mean?
of course.
No, it's just that we had to do music behind cartoons, and we would do these fabulous full orchestra, sessions. And then when it would be on the air, the cartoons, they would add all these sound effects. You'd never hear any of the music. So all the stuff that we labored over and was so beautiful, and you said, "Oh, that's going to be great." It's like no one ever heard it.
Oh. I did a little research on you.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of cartoons, you did a lot of the Disney Channel stuff that I grew up on watching.
Yes, I did. And I know you're trying to pussyfoot around age here, and I know it. I know you're trying to be good and sweet. Listen, I was very young. I was 12 when I started. Let's just leave it at that, okay?
Okay. So what was it like working on Gargoyles and Pepper Ann? And
I know. Here's the thing. I have been a comic book collector since I was a child. So for me, it was the best of both worlds because I got to work with comics and basically cartoons and comics, which I absolutely adore. And also I got to work with music. As a composer myself and a writer and singer, it was wonderful to just be in the studio again. You know, I missed being actually in the studio. I still miss it, actually.
there's something about the actual studio and having all the things around you.
You know what feels similar is when you're in post-production and you go to mix the film. That feels very similar because you're in a darkened room with a lot of bright lights on a console with guys, that have been doing it for a long time. And their specialty is listening, And so that reminds me of being in the studio making music. And we would do these night sessions all the time. So you would just spend you knew you were going to be there for hours. So you kind of settle in your mindset. It's even though you're creating and you're doing art and you're working artistically, it's still kind of a great feeling to just know that you're going to just do this for the next, 6-7 hours. It's cool.
It's great when you can commit to something, because even like in today's world, it feels like everything has to be like that, like do like that, to actually be able to sit down.
Yeah, and it does feel like a little cocoon, because you're in the dark. It's great. Sometimes you just close your eyes, because I find I can hear better when my eyes are not in the way. When I'm just doing music, I can hear better when I close my eyes.
You're shutting that sense down.
This time, let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
I do that when I'm writing, actually. I do it with screenwriting because I wear contact lenses, and if I can't see as well, so if I don't put my lenses in, I actually can visualize in my mind better. It's like I go internal. It's a weird trick, but I learned it. I learned a trick.
There we go. That's actually good advice.
I don't know. It's a different thing. Yeah.
So
do you write?
I do. I started writing before all this, and then because you start out thinking you're the best. I think everyone starts out thinking they're the best, and then they go to college, and college hits them in the face, and they go to LA, and LA hits them twice in the face.
So I hate getting hit in the face.
Physically and metaphorically. When did you start writing, either for documentary or narratively?
I hit this place when I was in my mid-30s, where I was still doing music. I felt like I was too old to be the front person of a band.
You're never too old to be in a band.
I know, but no, that's true. Not to be in a band, but I hate to say this, but because it goes to the sexism in the industry. And there is a thing. Can I use bad words on this?
Go ahead. I don't censor anybody.
All right, good. Okay. Well, there's this thing in the music business that when someone hears your music and they like it, these people who are trying to market that person, they go, well, is she fuckable? That's their thing. Is she fuckable? So there's a big visual part of the marketing of music, which was really hard on me. So I just didn't appreciate it, didn't like it. I felt horrible about it. At a certain age, I thought, you know what? I can't go there anymore. I can't do this. I can't sit in an office and have people ogle me and talk about what I'm wearing. And it was too much. So I did move into screenwriting, sort of because I was having a crisis. Someone said to me, someone that I paid, weekly, therapist, said, hey, you know what? Pick 5 things that you love and make one phone call toward each thing. And wherever the energy flows, go that way and keep going that way till the energy stops flowing there. And so I took a screenwriting class because that just kept moving forward. So that's when I started writing. And my first screenplay that I wrote got optioned. And no one asked, is she fuckable? They just liked the story. So I was like, oh my God, this is such a relief. And it wasn't that different from songwriting, to be honest. I mean, obviously structure is different, but writing a visual sentence, transmitting a picture in images quickly, it's very similar to songs, Well,
yeah, especially if you think of it like a language.
Yeah, and that skill to do that is similar. So it really wasn't that difficult for me. Just learning structure, dialogue, obviously, stuff like that. Nuts and bolts, I call that. And I'm still doing that, and I'm loving it still.
What is your process from idea to final product?
I sit with an idea for a while because I don't just start writing it or writing any notes down yet. I'll sit with something and I'll think about it.
I can relate with that.
Really? I circle around it. I always say it's like a dog sniffing. I circle it for a while, and I go in different directions in my mind, and I go, okay, what about this? Well, what? And I think about, first of all, is it an interesting story? Am I interested? Yes. Okay, keep circling. Well, what about the characters? What kind of characters can I imagine? So I spend a little time imagining characters, and if I don't hit any walls, I go, okay, this might be viable.
No one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
And then I start to go, well, what would Act 2 look like? You know, in my mind, I haven't written a thing, haven't put anything down. I don't want to skip the early steps. They're really important to me to get foundation in place, you know, and I don't want to start committing to paper when I don't have all the fun stuff that I might just, I don't know, vomit up, you know, in my head, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the stuff that keeps you interested in it, right?
Yeah. And that's not always sort of in order, or it's just this'll come, that'll come. I had a teacher actually once say, start writing the scene that you love the most. Okay. I loved that. It's like, don't have to work your way up to it. Just do it. If that's what inspires you about the story, just write that one scene or two scenes and then skip to the other scene that you can't wait to write. Do it. And even if those scenes never end up in the final product, it doesn't matter. It's all about getting you to the place of writing it.
The creative process, I see it as like almost like Tetris. You know, you don't always get the parts you're looking for right away, and they come at random.
Right. Yeah, that's right. It's funny.
How did Pinup come about? Where did that idea come from, and how did you decide to just go for it?
Well, it was a long process because there are so many things in that film that were subconscious to me for the longest time. And I would work on the screenplay little by little, and then I would think, well, I can't do this. This is ridiculous. This story, everyone's going to hate it. It's gross and it's weird. And then the more I watched Quentin Tarantino, the more I realized, why am I worried about what's gross and what's weird? He just puts out whatever he sees in his head, in his crazy cray-cray head. Exactly. And everybody goes to the theater and calls him brilliant. So I thought, what am I worried about, right? If I can look at his work, then people can look at my work. And so I decided then and there to stop judging what I was writing on Pinup and just do it and see what comes out. It was that process of allowing myself and delving, and it's a psychological drama, and it is about mother love. Okay, so it's won a bunch of awards.
30 awards.
30 festival awards.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled because it does mean that there is room for it out there, you know? And one of the awards that I loved so much, it got Best Short Film in a film festival in Mumbai.
Oh, wow.
One of the judges got in touch with me and thanked me. He said, I absolutely love your film. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My mother issues and my mommy issues and I thank you.
That's amazing.
Right?
Oh.
And I'm thinking that's not even necessarily the audience I thought I would reach, but he was a Saudi Arabian man. So I'm like thrilled because the more people that I showed this film to, the more I realized it really covered a huge section of audience. You know, there is a female love scene in it. So I thought to myself, well, okay, gay women are going to love it. But what I had no idea that the themes that reach deeper than that visual imaging really are touching a lot of people in a lot of big ways.
That's great. And just to touch on self-censorship a little bit, because one does think that it's like, oh, this is going to be too weird, or no one's going to get it, or I'm never going to work again. You don't know what people are thinking and what they're repressing. And
exactly.
Art kind of awakens things in people. Plus, I think people have gotten way too comfortable at the cinema. I think film should be uncomfortable, just a little bit.
I love watching Darren Aronofsky.
Oh, his stuff's great.
For that very reason. Yeah, I do love having people leave the theater questioning, asking questions. That's kind of my thing. I ask questions and then I delve in and I write about this. And I don't want to answer the questions. I want you to answer them for yourself, and everyone's going to come up with a different answer.
Did you shoot it on film?
No, we did not. I would love to shoot the feature on film.
Could have fooled me. It looked like 16 there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love the depth and the warmth of film, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I moved from analog to digital in music, when the digital keyboards, you know, and all the digital stuff, and I just hated the crisp perfection of digital. I just couldn't stand it. And I still can't stand like the high def TV stuff. I always have to zhuzh it up, you know, when I'm watching it. I just don't like that look.
It's sometimes it's too clean, and then you have people who light everything like it's a Disney Channel movie.
Yeah.
And then
I don't watch a lot of those, so I'm not sure. Sorry.
or maybe a sitcom lighting.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's perfectly lit, and it's where's the fun in that? Lighting needs to be a character, and if it's just
absolutely. And Pinup is kind of noir in a lot of ways, you know.
He's got a femme fatale.
Yeah, and that was Angela Sarafyan. She's from Westworld. She read the feature and just loved it, and she was actually the first actor to come on board.
Oh wow!
Exactly, and she was the person I thought, God, if I could get her, that would be mind blowing. And a friend of mine was the casting director for Westworld.
Okay.
And he read the script. I mean, I didn't want him to ask him to pass something on to that's trash.
Mm-hmm.
He read the feature. He loved it. He passed it to her. She loved it, and she called. So that was cool. Really, that was the beginning of the whole thing, helping get it going, you know?
So there is a feature script out there.
The short came from the feature. I wrote the feature first, and then I had to figure out what part of this story can live on its own, you know, to make the short. But what you see in the short is not the full story of the feature. I find writing a short film almost impossible. I swear to God.
It's a discipline.
I can't, I just can't make my characters sort of grow in that it feels very restrictive to me.
When you watch a good one, it's mesmerizing. It's like, how did they do this?
Right? And I think also, in terms of stories and arcs, and I think sometimes shorts are more like moments, you know, and that's how you can actually make a good short if you start with like a moment or a skit from somewhere, you know. It's a much shorter form messaging. I just have never necessarily loved it. So I'm always stuffing stuff into my shorts, you know. I remember the producer on my first short was called Getting to Know You, and it was a little rom-com short. And she kept saying, you know, you should just cut those two characters out. And I was like, what? Why would I do? You know, I just couldn't imagine, because they create depth around my lead, you know. So I didn't. I kept them in. And I was glad I did.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Sometimes adding even small characters, you know, can bring out, I think the proper term, was it foil? Is foil the right term?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the thing is, because they were shorter workers, like just day care, they only had to be there a day. I was able to get Dana Delaney, if you know her as an actress, and Ian Gomez to play those roles because it was just a day. They didn't even have to really go out of their ways. So that's where I got actually bigger name people to be in the thing, because it was more cameo, you know.
And that helps marketing, and that helps everything.
I think it does. It helps when people see that you have someone like Angela, or in Pinup, Christina Chang, who is one of the leads on The Good Doctor. When they see you have those people, they assume it must be quality, which is a nice assumption. At least they'll give it a shot, you know.
Diving into how you work on a technical level as far as direction goes, if you could give us some insight into how you talk to your actors.
Yeah, as little as possible. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Stay behind the camera the whole time.
Yeah,
just point and
I
shout.
just go, yeah. So listen, here's the thing. I am in fear of over-directing actors because I don't want to step on their creative process. So I don't know whether that's good or bad, you know, whether that's a good way to do things. But what I prefer to do is talk all around the character, the story, the backstory, the reasons people do things. I don't love specifically pointing an actor because I believe they'll bring so much more to it than I ever imagined. And I don't want to curtail any of that creative juice that they're going to bring. So I'd rather try to inspire them to bring it than tell them what to do. You know what I mean? The only thing I want is I want them to say the dialogue. And if they need to change it or have question about it, we can talk that through.
Nuts to that goddamn line. I cannot remember it.
I mean, and I learned a lot on Pinup. The two lead actresses had different styles of working, and they were very different characters. So it wasn't that easy for me to figure out the best way of working with each actor. I learned a lot that I have to figure out how to bring, what I want to an actor when maybe they don't work well with feeling, with me talking about feeling. Different people work different ways. So it's not always that easy to figure it out and come up with a language.
How do you talk to your crew, like your PAs and your...
I say, do it because I said so.
Okay.
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. The same thing with the crew. The crew knows better than I do how to do their jobs, And so if I have done my job well, which is speaking to the heads of each department and setting the look and setting, the tone, that'll all, it'll all sort of wash out nicely down the line. It's important that we remain a team. Mm-hmm. I know that this is important stuff we're doing and it's all costing money, but one thing I can't really tolerate is like people losing their temper. I can't stand it. And I know that people do lose their temper and it happens. But the rewind and reeling it back in is really important because we do have to all work together, the next day. If it's a short, it's only 4 days for me, but
yeah,
but everybody has to get along. So it's kind of important that we have fun.
Going from documentary film to narrative film, what things did you have to learn besides how to talk to actors?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. I actually did narrative film first.
Oh.
You don't know what the word study means. You haven't the slightest idea.
Yeah. What happened was I was doing the short films, again, preparing, teaching myself how to make feature. And my partner of many years is a celebrity chef. Her name is Susan Feniger. She was doing a new restaurant. And to do this restaurant, she was not working with her longtime business partner, Mary Sue Milliken.
Okay.
So she was separating off and doing her own restaurant. And so she couldn't use all of the shared things that they had created together. And so she was doing this out of our house, and she had to basically start over as if she were a nobody. And so I thought, this is kind of interesting. She's at the top of her career, but she's kind of starting over. I think someone should film it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, but I didn't mean me.
Oh.
I'm not a cinematographer. But I very quickly learned that A, I wouldn't be able to afford a real cinematographer, because we're basically following Susan through her days. Mm-hmm. And B, who's going to be there Saturday morning when she's in her pajamas and she's opening a box of tabletops, of different wood samples. And I thought, I'm going to have to do this. So I borrowed a friend's camera, and I just followed her for a year and a half while she was on this journey where everything went wrong.
Oh my God, how did this place ever get an A? It was so disgusting. This is such a dump. So now the zoning administrators won't sign off on it, but that means we don't get final permit for at least a month. I want it to be done in 3.5 months.
When I was behind the camera, Susan would do things to make me laugh. And she would never do that on a TV show or with, on Good Morning America. She would never mess around like that. So she was just messing around. Yeah. So I captured the real Susan.
Fantastic.
So that was a thing that now I'm editing as a feature, but also we would go to Vietnam. It was all about street food. The restaurant that she was making was all street food from around the world.
Oh.
And right. So we were traveling.
That's super cool.
Cool.
I love all those street food videos you see on the internet where it's like, this is what $2 will get you in Thailand.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so,
And yeah, so that's where what we were doing, and she was kind of dragging me along to tape her, to film her, which is not my thing, because Susan wants to go off the beaten path. She does not want to go where anywhere else would go as a traveler. So we have to hire a guide. We have to take, medicine before and after to make sure you don't get sick, because you're not, you know what I mean? You're not eating normal things, and your system isn't used to it. So a lot of people won't do that because they don't want to get sick. But that's her favorite thing. So
a certain breed of person.
Yeah, you're not getting. It's a different breed than me. So, but I go because I'm thinking, oh, this will be great for the film, because this is where Susan Feniger gets her inspiration, So I have all that footage, and now I'm putting it together into a rough cut. So I came to that sort of backing into it, not really wanting to do that, but thinking this is a wonderful opportunity, and I think it makes a great film. Okay. So so that was secondary. And when you say going from narrative to, or either way, going between the two, it's a completely different world. I mean, when you are with a script, you're the god in that universe. That story is going to go where you tell it to go. When you're following someone with a camera, that story never goes where you think it's going to go or where you want it to go.
The observer in an uncontrolled environment.
Yeah, exactly. And also I hired, whenever we would go overseas to Asia and Southeast Asia, I was hiring crews. So I was I was the B cam. Because that's not something you can go back and capture if you screw it up.
Oh, so you were working with the full video crew.
Yeah, I was overseas because I didn't trust myself. I'm not good enough. And I thought, I don't know how to, what if, she does something amazing, or look at this beautiful setting and I've got the, the cap on or something because I'm an idiot, and I don't get any of it, So I made sure to hire crews. Like we went to Shanghai and we went to all over Vietnam and we went to Singapore, and I made sure to have camera crew with us so we had 2 cameras.
What's it like shooting over there?
It's a little invasive feeling. Like I feel like I'm kind of getting in the way of life. There's so much going on, and especially where we were traveling, there's not a lot of tourists. So people would be staring, and I would feel like, oh, we can't go here. And, our guide would always kind of pave the way. He would say things to people to make them relax. Like we went to a big market in Ho Chi Minh City, and he told everyone that we were from CNN. Oh. And we were shooting, and so they should watch TV and maybe they'll see themselves tonight.
That's smart. That's like the old thing we used to do in school, where you'd wear, when you weren't in school, you'd wear school like jackets and whatnot, so people thought you were a student film crew.
Yeah. So that's funny. Really? You did that?
Yeah, we did that a couple of times, because if you're just a regular film crew, they'd say where your permits are.
Permits,
but if you're a student film crew, they go, what they're doing probably sucks and isn't going to see the light of day.
Oh my God.
So just let them be.
That's hilarious. I love that. That's a good trick. I just need school jackets.
Sometimes it didn't work, but like maybe 9 out of 10 times.
Oh, how funny. That's great. I dig that. Totally. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Did you have to get any permits to shoot in these foreign locations?
Oh, no, not those. We didn't. We never got permits for those. I mean, we were in locations that were just on the street, just in neighborhoods.
You go into a place where there's no industry. There's no film industry, and you think everyone's going to care, but no one really cares.
Yeah. No, we're at a street stand and in a little village where we're the only Caucasians in sight. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was no big deal. And because our crew is always, the place where I would hire the crew is always locals. So that helps also. So we've got a guide who's a local, and we've got a crew that are locals who speak the language. So really it's mostly Susan and me, and we were the only ones that really didn't speak the language, So that was good. It was just the two of us.
That was a smart thing. I would have just gone in with a camera and made something horrible.
No, I mean, I was afraid I was going to muck it up, because the stuff I look at some of the stuff I shot at home for us, And like, I swear to God, sometimes the camera's just, I set it down. So and I think it's off because it's just recording feet going back and forth. The stupidest mistakes ever. And so but sometimes you capture something really fun, because I did think the camera was off once and it was sitting next to me in the car and it was on and it was kind of looking out the window askew. And I was talking on the phone, and whoever I was talking to, I hear myself on tape saying, I don't know, I'm so sick of this project. I'm sick of shooting her and editing her. So that's gold. That's gold.
Let's dive into some other questions, if you will indulge me. So, coming from a comic book background, what are your thoughts on the big tentpole Marvel movies?
I'm so torn. I love Marvel, and I've loved Marvel since I was a kid, but I love comic books, and I love the space that I get to inhabit between, the visual in my head and what's on the page. I bring a lot to that. So for me, comic books are not static at all. So when I see it on the big screen, it's like they've taken all of that interaction away from me in a lot of ways. It's a very different beast. And you always have that problem between books and movies. So for me, when you're making a film, I want to bring more depth to help imbue that movie with that thing that I love about reading. But on the other hand, I love that now digitally we can make Spider-Man fly on his web. I mean, I love it. It's not stupid anymore. It's cool. It's more real. So that's why I'm torn.
That's a great response. For me, I'm so cynical sometimes, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm like, I remember when you got beat up for liking comic books. And now it's like everyone likes comic books. I have no identity anymore.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. Yeah, it's not like I've got nothing that I'm hiding anymore from anybody. I used to hide that stuff.
I have no edge. My edge goes.
Yeah, my own, right. I know.
I could talk to you about comic books forever.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about
Love and Rockets. Let's talk about Jaime Hernandez. Love and Rockets.
I've never read that one. No. Love and Rockets. I'm gonna write this one down.
Oh my God! But you got to go back. You got to go back to the early Love and Rockets. Love and Rockets.
Love and Rockets.
The Hernandez brothers, Jaime and Gilberto. Oh my God! Talk about great writing, great artwork. The two of them concentrated on different stories. They didn't do the stories together. So they each had their own worlds that they created and characters they populated. But man, some really deep, cool, and not superhero stuff. Some great storytelling though. Okay, that's all that's my gift to you.
I'm gonna look into that. Thank you for that.
Okay, you're welcome. Wait, I forgot Strangers in Paradise.
I've heard of Strangers in Paradise. I have not read it.
Oh my God. What about Why the Last Man?
Another one I've heard of. Why the Last Man?
Why has to do with the chromosome, the Y chromosome, where a disease kills every male in the world except this one guy and his male monkey. It's the coolest story ever. And the writing, oh my God. So anyway, okay. Those are 3 gems.
Oh, I need to read more. I used to like not be able to function without comics.
Me too. Me too. I still buy them.
I'm not doing well today, so maybe maybe I do get back into comics. To wrap things up, one thing I like to ask my guests, and I like to spring this on them because I think it's like a kind of a challenge. What movie should we watch after watching Pinup?
Well, that's a funny question. I'll tell you something. There is a director, a filmmaker that I love, and I hoped to emulate her when I was making Pinup because she's a true artist. And that's Sally Potter. She made a movie a couple years ago called Yes. It's not always that easy to find, but I still think it's really worth it. It's one of the most beautiful artistic and wonderful films I've ever seen because it's so flowing And she does things with the camera that would be unexpected, but create so much emotion. If someone watched Pinup and then watched Yes, it would be a continuity. You know, this is how I did it, and this is how it's supposed to be done.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You can almost watch them make a double feature out of it.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I would do, because there were things in Yes that I really just tried to grab and apply, you know, and say, gosh, if I could get that camera motion during this sequence, or if I could, you know, and so, yeah, that's what I would say.
So Yes by Sally Potter. That's the one to check out. And so back to Pinup, is there a place we can find Pinup online to stream at the moment?
No.
Not at the moment.
Sorry, it doesn't have distribution right now.
It's a hidden film. Where can we find you online, Liz?
Well, my website is lizlachman.com, LACHMAN, lizlachman.com, and I'm on Instagram mostly. I don't use Facebook much, but yeah, Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram.
You're looking to make Pinup into a feature?
Yes, I'm looking to make 2 things that I want to direct, like so badly I can taste it. Pinup, yes, I want to make that, and so I'm looking for an independent producer, you know, who might love that subject matter, that sort of deep, dark, psychological noir type of film. And then my little indie comedy, which is a really low budget film. It's called Free Chickie. And that Free Chickie, that I'm looking to make as well. And I sort of scoped out all the locations already, and they're all free to shoot in. So I'm like, I think this could actually be done. So that's the two next projects I'm hoping to get going.
Well, that's excellent. I really hope those come to fruition.
Thanks.
And can we have you back on to discuss what it was like to make the feature?
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you.
The woman is Liz Lachman. The short is Pinup. Liz, it's been amazing talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
How do you like being filmed? Come on, get out of here. Get out. Oh. Hey guys. You're back. Oh. This guy's still here.
You will be in my book. You will be in my book. You will be in my book.
You. Anyway, so that's my interview with Liz Lachman. I hope you got a kick out of it. You want to check out her short films like Getting to Know You, everything she's done between that and Pinup. I put links in the show notes below. So, for the Hey You Made Your Movie show, I'm Carl Diamond. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep making movies, keep writing scripts, keep watching movies, keep pursuing the dream. I can't wait to see all the films you're going to make, but first, you gotta make them. Now, I gotta take care of this guy. See you next time.